A go-to-market strategy is a comprehensive plan for how you bring your products and services to market in order to reach your company's goals and objectives. Yet for something that is so central to the role, it's often a little bit unclear and also overcomplicated. All of these strategies exist as expressions of the wider go-to-market strategy. When we begin to think about go-to-market strategy like this, we start to create alignment by design. The goal is to make a win-win go-to-market strategy and strengthen the relationship between your organization and your market. Now you know what a go-to-market strategy is, go and build one. What is a go-to-market strategy and how do you actually go about building one? Now, if you are a revenue leader in a B2B organization and you look at your job description, it probably says something like, must build the go-to-market strategy, must own the strategy, must create a strategy that can be executed, must be held accountable to the strategy. Yet for something that is so central to the role, it's often a little bit unclear and also overcomplicated. And the thing is, a go-to-market strategy is one of those things that a lot of people reference, but a lot of people also don't understand. When people don't understand something, it becomes quite confusing, even frustrating. And a go-to-market strategy is really important and shouldn't just become a deck. It's actually something that your business operates by. So in this video, I'm going to do three things. The first thing we're going to do is talk about what a go-to-market strategy actually is. Then we're going to get into why it actually matters. And then we're going to go into exactly how you go about building one that scales. Before we get too carried away, hey, I'm Hannah Ajikawo. I'm the CEO and founder of Revenue Funnel, and we work to identify and fix the structural issues that block growth inside B2B organizations. On this channel, we like to talk about and obsess around a B2B buyer, how we can give them value and how we can make money for ourselves and also for our organizations. I've been in B2B go-to-market for about 17 years now, and I like to talk about things that are rarely taught, but really important. So let's dive into the topic for today, which is what is a go-to-market strategy? And how do we go about building one? Now, before we get into anything at all, let's just clear up this mysterious phrase, this mysterious term. What is a go-to-market strategy? After you hear this, you will not need to listen to any other definition of a go-to-market strategy. This is it. Pin it, like it, save it, whatever you need to do. So, a go-to-market strategy is a comprehensive plan for how you bring your products and services to market in order to reach your company's goals and objectives. So let's practice that a little bit. Hey, I'm a revenue leader and I build comprehensive plans for how we're going to get our products and services to market. It sounds quite good, right? And it's simple. That's it. Nothing else. The thing is, everything rolls down from here. Now, before we jump into what that contains, how we do it, why it's important, I just want to set the context for where it even comes from. So we know what a go-to-market strategy is, but where does it come from and why does it matter? So let's start with where it comes from. Now, every organization exists to make money in some form. In order to do that, they set targets, they set goals and objectives. So we're going to just say G and O. That's a goal and objective. Now, a goal or an objective is a desired result that a company is trying to work towards. And your go-to-market strategy is what translate those goals and objectives into actual actions inside your market. So what happens is these goals and objectives, they are rolled down into a go-to-market strategy. It goes from something that you wish for and hope for to something that feels practical to something that actually gets done. And this is why you see the broader organization and the other revenue leaders come forth and say, well, how do we translate that into actions in the market? Well, effectively, you'll hear them say things like, I have a product strategy. Product S, let's just put S, strategy is going to get a bit long to keep writing. I have a sales strategy. That's what I'm working on. I have a marketing strategy. That's my plan that contributes to that. And I have let's just say a customer success or data strategy, whatever it is. But all of those contribute to the overall go-to-market strategy that is there to translate the goals and objectives in the market and for the organization. These strategies are not independent strategies. They do not exist in isolation. All of these strategies exist as expressions of the wider go-to-market strategy. When we begin to think about go-to-market strategy like this, we start to create alignment by design. So now that we know what a go-to-market strategy is and also where it comes from, let's dive into why it matters, why this is so important. And I like to call this the connective tissue. We're about to go deep. So why a go-to-market? I should have said why A. Let's put why a go-to-market strategy. That doesn't actually make sense, but stay with me. Now, if you think about how everything comes together, you have your organization here, so your org, and over this side, you have all of these willing participants who just want to be your customers, right? So you have your customers, or let's say potential customers, because if everyone was a customer, I wouldn't be here. We'd all be fine. Your go-to-market strategy is what acts as the connective tissue between your organization and your ideal market. This connective tissue is how you stay connected to your market. It's how value is shared, and it's shared both ways. And it's also the thing that determines whether that relationship between your organization and your market is actually sustainable. One of the things I really want you to think about is how your go-to-market strategy that comes from your org and creates the connective tissue to your customers actually acts as a whole cycle. Like, this is really important because when your customers get value and that value is realized, that gets fed back through of course, money that they're paying for it into their market so they can provide value to their market. But it also informs your organization's next goals and objectives, because now they understand what's going on. They set new goals, new objectives, and the cycle continues. So let's get into some more information around why it happens, particularly over the long term. And I like to call this symbiotic. And this is borrowing a little bit from biology, so we're not getting too kind of caught up in business jargon. Now, there are different types of relationships that exist, and we're just going to list them out so you can understand how important it is in relation to that connective tissue. So the first one I'm going to talk about is something that we call commensalism. Commensalism is when the customer benefits, your market benefits, but you don't. So if you think about that, it doesn't really work to sustain a relationship that's ongoing. It's probably not going to help you meet your business goals, right? So customer 1, you 0. Customer wins and you don't. Okay? That's one kind of relationship that exists. Next, something that we call parasitism. I'm going to check the spelling of this. I'm probably parasitism. It's just a reflection of being a parasite, okay? So this is where you win, or maybe your customers win, and your customer is harmed. This is where you start to see churn. This is where you start to see bad reviews. This is where you start to see bad experiences. You do not want to be creating a relationship with your market where you win and then the customer is actually experiencing some kind of business harm. The next one is neutralism. So this is when no one wins. Sign a contract, no one exchanges money, just kind of fizzles out. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, so this is where we see no wins. I was going to say no one wins, but no wins works as well. This doesn't make sense at all. What kind of relationship would that be if there was no real connective tissue, which means there's no value exchange and the cycle doesn't continue? So no one really tries to create a neutralistic experience or relationship because it doesn't actually make any sense. Next up, competition. Now, competition is great, but we don't really want to create a competitive relationship with our customers because that may work in some areas for the short term, but over the long term, why would we create a relationship with the people that pay us money where we are going to maybe cannibalize their market? If we do that, then we don't actually have any customers to sell to. So we have to be really thoughtful around this. And you know what? You see a lot of this in partnerships, organizations that sell with third-party organizations, and there's some kind of complementary offering. Over a period of time, the main organization and their partners, let's just assume the partners are over here, will just take on the functionality, the services, the expertise, and then they don't need their partner anymore. I get it, but over time, if that is the relationship that we are continuously creating inside the business environment, then over time, it doesn't sustain the economy. All right, so competition, short term, not great. Not short term, not great. Okay, next area. Now, this is where we really want to focus, and this is called mutualism. And as you can probably tell conceptually, what this means is it is a win-win situation. So if we look at the situation with our go-to-market strategy, and we're trying to work to create connective tissue between our organization and our ideal customers. And the go-to-market strategy is the thing that's going to create that. And we need to strengthen that. What we're trying to do is create a situation where everybody wins. We create these incredible products and services. We sell them to the market at the right price, at the right value, where people continuously buy from us. And when they buy from us, they get value inside their own organization. We get value because we can continue to grow, and they can provide value to their market market. That is what we want to do. That is the whole point of creating strong connective tissue. That's why it matters. And your go-to-market strategy is going to be the thing that determines the type of relationship that you create with your market. So let's get into how go-to-market strategy works as a system. Now we know what a go-to-market strategy is, and we also know where it comes from, and we now know why it matters. The next thing is really understanding this. How do we actually build a go-to-market strategy? Now, I want you to think of a go-to-market strategy as a system and not a list of activities. We are working through these pages today. So go-to-market strategy as a system. Go-to-market as a system. Even going to put a line under here because that is how important this part is. Okay? When we think about go-to-market strategy as a system, it improves our ability to actually create one and also maintain it in a way that allows us to make sure that it gets executed. So let's just go through that flow again so that we have, I guess, like the visual as to how it all comes together. So the first thing that I want to do is get some color. Green means good, right? So what's the first thing that we spoke about earlier? We said that a go-to-market strategy starts from goals and objectives. It then rolls down into the go-to-market strategy, which is where we create our comprehensive plan for how we're going to bring our products and services to market in order to help the company reach its goals and objectives. From here, organizations build the specific kind of org level plans. And this is where we see sales. This is where we see marketing. This is where we see CS. This is where we see product and other departments, depending on the size of the organization and the complexity. And then what we see from here is it rolls down even further and we get into the actual tactics. Now, the tactics are the things that we're going to do inside our go-to-market strategy that actually turn it from a plan into things that we do day to day, actions, actual actions and activities. And this forms execution. Okay? So now what we have our goals and objectives, we formed a plan, the individual business units have made their own expressions of that plan for their individual needs. We're developing the tactics that we're going to do, and now we're going to go and execute it. So that is the overall go-to-market strategy system. So over COVID, this is a side note, but I want to give you a little bit of analogy. Over COVID, I picked up the new habit of baking. Not great when you're not moving that much. But let's think about baking a cake as an example. We have an organization says, guess what? This year we are going to bake the best cake ever, and it's going to be the tastiest. And we are going to win the Guinness Book of Records for the tastiest cake in the world. Okay? What is that? A strategy, a goal, or a tactic? It is the goal. Okay? So the goal is, let's build a cake. Now everyone's like, that sounds fantastic. I'm so excited, but how are we going to do that? And that's where the strategy comes in, okay? Now that strategy is our recipe. Oh no, I should have put the strategy there. There we go. Strategy is the recipe. Now we have the recipe and everyone's thinking, okay, now I see the overall vision and I see the overall plan. Now I've got to figure out what part do I play in that? Now we're looking at the different cooks, okay? So now we're saying, okay, we've got the recipes. Let's do the individuals. This is the business units. And they say, okay, how many cooks do we have on? What's my variation? What's the role that I play in this? Now, from here, what we have is the tactics. Now, what is the tactics when you look at this analogy? Yeah, you got it right. The tactics are going to be the individual, the way we mix the ingredients. And then the execution, what's that part gonna be? It's gonna be the oven. It's what makes it happen. That final piece that brings it all together. So now that you have a bit of a tastier variation and explanation of this, I want to get into the real specifics as how we actually build this go-to-market strategy, because this is going to be the thing that makes your life so much easier. Every year when your company come out with this crazy plan and you're thinking, this crazy goal, and you're like, how the hell are we going to do it? Let's get all these tactics together. That is not the way. Do not start at the tactical level. We will always want to start at the strategy level. And that's why, because how are you gonna, which ingredients are you gonna use? How are you gonna know you've got a cake? Which ingredients? Who's gonna be in charge? We don't even know what resources we have. Who's gonna be responsible for putting it in the oven, for measuring it out? We don't know if we start there or we just turn the oven on. We have no idea. We have to get everybody ready and excited with a goal, maybe turn the oven on so it's preheated. And then we want to develop a strategy where people are like, this feels real. Oh my gosh, we got a recipe. Now we know how to bake the cake. And then we're going to say, I can do that thing. I can crack the eggs. I can put the flour in. That is kind of how it comes together. Okay, let's get deeper. Now let's come and look at the specific components of a go-to-market strategy, because all of this information is great. But if you don't know what the building blocks are, then what do we do from here? Now, if you didn't save the video, if you didn't like it, pin it, whatever you're supposed to do, now is the time to do that. We're gonna get serious. You know what a serious color is? Red, okay? So how do we, how to build a go-to-market strategy. We are about to drop, outside of dropping my pen lid. Okay, I'm back. Whew. These 40-year-old needs, almost 40-year-old. That was harder. That was much harder than it should have been. Okay, how do we build a go-to-market strategy? Now, there are 3 components of this. Do not skip a step. Do not pass go. Please, please, for the love of all of the things above us, the higher powers, I need you to follow this structure, because if you follow this structure and you get used to it, you will never have to read another go-to-market strategy book on how to actually do it. So let's get into it. The first thing we're trying to understand when it comes to our go-to-market strategy is this. And I'm going to start from the bottom because it's important that we do that so you can see the most important structures that exist. Now, there are 2 things that have equal importance when it comes to a go-to-market strategy. The first thing that we want to do is understand, where do we play? Where do we play? I'm not writing that all out, of course. Now, if you look at the entire world of organizations that you could potentially sell to, there's loads out there. And if you have enough budget and unlimited resources, you can just go after everyone. But a go-to-market strategy is all about how you deploy finite resources into the market that's going to allow you to create the right kind of connective tissue and relationship, etc., to your market. So where do we play is about choosing and identifying the part of the market that you're actually going to go after. And you'll hear things like TAM and a service addressable market and serviceable, obtainable market, all of these things. And that's effectively what it is. In the grand scheme of things, what is the market that we feel we should go after based on 2 core things? We have a solution that meets their needs, but also they are in a position to get the most value from it. Because these are the 2 things that are really going to help us to anchor how we think about where we go, how we deploy resources, and how we have that big picture. And that is, where do we play? Now, the next thing that we want to look at is, how do we win? It's fantastic that we've identified the core element of the market that's going to get the most value from us and that we know we can serve right now. Now, how do we win is not just about what campaign can we do. How do we win is much more strategic. It's us identify what is unique to us, what are our defensible differentiators, what kind of access experience do we have as an organization that's going to almost guarantee that if we interact with this market, we can win it. We can win it. We can have our metric, which is we are going to get 10% of the market, 20% of the market. You go in with the strategy with confidence because you have articulated, identified exactly why you would win that market. A lot of organizations skip this, and this is really important. Now, the next structure that we want to look at when it comes to our go-to-market strategy, we've had this conversation, we've agreed with all the leadership at the higher level. So now when product, sales, marketing, and customer success are thinking about their individual expression of the broader go-to-market strategy, it's tied to the same thing, exactly the same thing. All right, next structure, let's go up here. And we've identified where do we want to play. We've identified how we win. Now we're looking at that market and we're saying, let's get orange because I don't know. How do they make decisions about the thing that you solve, the problem that you solve for? If there are issues, challenges, and opportunities that exist inside that core market that you are trying to win, you have to understand as an organization how they go about buying, solving, and understanding that. Because when you do that, you can map it out. It is so critical that we map it out with some kind of visual tool, all of the micro, mini, miniature, large, small, big, ugly, hairy, whatever it is, decisions that a buyer must make in order to solve whatever's happening in their organization to meet the needs that hit their goals and objectives. We must understand this. And guess what? Most people don't. That's why I'm here. Okay, so now that we've understood what those decisions are, guess what we're gonna do? We're going up in the pyramid. We are going to create a go-to-market process that supports that. Now, most organizations have a sales process, and then they have marketing campaigns, and then they have product with some kind of roadmap. We want to take all of those individual expressions, okay? All of those different business units, and they need to understand what is our process that creates that connective tissue that is supporting the decision-making of the buyer. It's not about intro calls and discovery calls and demo this and all this stuff. That, in theory, just allows us to enter information into a system. What we want to understand is what is the go-to-market process that's going to be used to help buyers make that decision. That is the critical piece that a lot of organizations miss, and this is why they lose winnable opportunities and winnable market opportunities. So what is our go-to-market process? So beyond that, we move up a level. So now we've got, where do we play? What part of the market are we going after? How do we win? How do we uniquely position ourselves in a place where we are the ones that are always chosen? How do they make decisions so that we are always chosen in the market that we're trying to go after? And then what is the process that we're now going to create? So we make that decision making easy, so we always win in a market that we're trying to go after. It's just all connected tissue, okay? Once we do that, we say, okay, we've got the process down, but we now need a belief system, a philosophy, a way to sequence activities around that process. And that's where we get into, what color have I used? Let's go to red again. The go-to-market methodology. Now, the thing is, we leave sales to be the organization that has, the business unit that has processes and methodologies. I don't quite understand that. We as a collective should have a process that everybody plays a role in and methodology that everybody is adhering to and compliant with that helps to create this overall experience for the buyer. So those methodologies are more at the tactical level. Yes, you get to talk about tactics. I know you're excited now. You have to talk about tactics and Clay and all of these fancy AI tools, okay? That's where some of that comes in. What are the things that we're doing day to day? How do we sequence activities to allow us to strengthen that connective tissue with that market so that we support the process that's going to help buyers buy in a space where we always win because of the market that we've chosen. Now from here, all of this sounds great, but what do we need for this to happen? I mean, we can use AI, but more importantly, what we need here is people and partners, okay? I know AI is here, and I do talk a lot about AI taking some jobs, and it will, and I'm okay with that because we have to keep evolving. It's just natural evolution. But right now, we really do need people and partners because it's not just about the customer-facing organization. We need people that are going to help us make this a possibility, and we're going to need partners that are also going to support our overall vision because doing this is going to help us to make sure that all of this happens. Now, the reason why people and partners comes after all of these pieces is because we want to bring in the right people and we want to hire and collaborate with the right partners. What you often see organizations do is they have a whole sales team. They finally get to a place where they build a really good strategy and then they roll it out and they're like, oh, this isn't really going to plan. Our salespeople, they can't sell. Or this is, now that we have this kind of journey where we're spending more time with customers or we're using more technology because that's what we've chosen to do in our whole process that we've built out, then there's more automation. Our teams are quite overwhelmed. Marketing don't really know how to do these things. Why would we hire teams and then try and do all of this? I appreciate that you have to get the right people on the bus because they're going to help you stabilize these pieces, but you also need the right people who are more involved in the translation of the strategy on the ground to be the right people to help you do that. And that's why it's really important. So we have all of these pieces together forming the components of our go-to-market strategy. There's one major piece that comes around all of this, and I'm gonna make a circle, and that is tech and AI. Now, this bad boy is the thing that makes this go fast, slow, more accurately, more seamlessly. It allows us to connect signals, whatever you want to call them, breadcrumbs, cookies, first-party data, second-party data, third-party data. It's all of the stuff that happens that allows us to actually make sure that we can measure, track, understand, iterate on our go-to-market strategy. I'm not going to get into the systems in this video, that's too long, but this is the thing that we really want to pay attention to. Do we have enough? Do we have tech debt? Do we have stuff that we don't understand? Are we equipped to support all of the rest of the go-to-market strategy. Now that we have the fundamentals of our go-to-market strategy in place, there's a few other kind of reinforcers that help make this all possible. So let's just list those out, because it's great to have all of this piece, but remember, what we're trying to do is get this from a plan into something that has actions. And where the actions come from, I'm gonna try and find space here, but we're just gonna walk them through. So everybody needs to have metrics and KPIs that are tied directly to this. They don't get to make up their own in their own individual expression of the strategy. Their ideas and their day-to-day things must roll up to the KPIs that govern the success or failure of the overall go-to-market strategy. We also need things like marketing and advertising, because that's going to be an enabler for the go-to-market strategy. I should actually put this way. That's going to be an enabler, not M&A, not mergers and acquisitions, marketing and advertising, because that's going to be an enabler of all of these things. We also need things like, I'll keep doing it, enablement. We need to enable our teams, and guess what? It's not just sales, it's revenue enablement, it's sales, it's marketing, it's product, it's customer success, it's anybody who has an actual role in touching the customer, in supporting the connective tissue, because that's the thing that's going to actually allow us to be successful. So we must have enablement. What else is going to help us to make our go-to-market strategy much more compelling? Well, we also need clear pricing and positioning, because it's the pricing and positioning that's going to help us to win. It's the pricing and positioning that's going to say, in the grand world of all of the organizations that we can sell to, it is you, dear business, that is our chosen one. And you can see from everything on our website, our communications, our events, how we stand, our brand, that's going to allow us to attract you. You know that we are the ones for you. That is how important that pricing and positioning piece is. Now, it's great to have all of these pieces in place, but what happens if nobody actually receives your products and services? This is where distribution comes in. Distribution. It's the distribution that is going to allow all of this to have a lovely, tidy vehicle that's going to continuously deliver all of this value to your market so that it can be realized and the cycle continues. Now, there's a lot of pieces in here that come together to help make your go-to-market strategy possible. This is where you've got your comprehensive plan. This is where it's formulated. Now, what we want to do is we want to ground the go-to-market strategy in reality. And this really is the final piece. The final piece of your go-to-market strategy is, how do we make this go-to-market strategy be built in a way that increases its chance of actually happening, one, but also being successful, two, and then also helping the company to realize its goals and objectives? And there's a couple of things here that I like to talk about. One is the macro, and the other is capability. So I'm just going to put them here. We'll come back to this, but let's just quickly look at what this is. Now, the macro is saying, we understand where we play and where we win. I mean, how do we play? How do we win? We're getting, visibility on that buyer journey. We've developed some processes. We understand the methodology. We've got the right people and partners. We developed the KPIs. We are doing some marketing. We have enablement, so it's continuously reinforced. We've got distribution. Great. Our products and services can get to market. And we have pricing and positioning. Everybody knows that we are the ones that help them in this particular scenario. But the macro looks at the external conditions in the market, and it could be at an industry level, it can be at specifically at an economic level, it can be with regards to globalization, whatever it is. That helps us ground it in reality. So we don't make a plan that falls short. We are going to do this in retail, knowing that tariffs are up. We are going to do this in financial services, and we're going to do this to help with this commodity, knowing that the prices are fluctuating. You really have to think about what is the macroeconomic situation for our buyers, but also for our organization. If you are selling into an industry that is going through some kind of headwind or tailwind and you're not aware of it, your go-to-market strategy is going to hit a blocker. It's just not going to make sense. So all of these things fall flat, and that's why the macro is so important. The other side of it is your capability. So the macro, I did not need to write this so big, but external, okay? The external reality. And then we have, the capability, which is really talking about, we want to do these grand things. Our go-to-market strategy is so good. Like, it's so good, you're excited, you've gone to bed and you're talking to your partner about this amazing comprehensive plan that you have built for how your products and services are going to get to market so that you can help your business reach its desired goals and objectives. I know you knew that off the top of your head. But our capability means, can we actually do it? Based on the resources, the time, the effort, the amount of budget we have, our brand, my brand as a revenue leader, can we really make this happen? And if not, what is the gap? So we need to look at our capability now, our capability that's needed, and we need to understand what is the gap there. How much time, effort, resources, money, brand building do we need to do to make sure that this lands? Do we have the right people? If we do, how much development do we need to get them to say the things that we now need them to say? Do we have the right systems? No. How much is it going to cost us to get those systems? Because what you're going to find is you may only get your go-to-market strategy to have, I don't know, 57% efficacy, which means it's only going to be about 57% effective. That may be okay, but you need your senior leadership to buy into that with you and say, we've developed this grand plan, but we can't execute all of it, and we're okay with that. Or you're not, but you need to find a way to really measure and figure out, can we do what we say we're going to do? And if not, what is it that we need to change in order for that to happen? And if with that change, what is that going to cost us? In every area of things, as I mentioned, time, effort, resources. Do we have the capacity? Because this is where go-to-market strategy falls down, okay? So we've been talking for a lot. So when we started earlier, we said, what is a go-to-market strategy? Now, go-to-market strategy is your comprehensive plan for how you bring your products and services to market in order to meet your business goals and objectives. Now, the go-to-market strategy is really the thing that connects your organization to your potential customers. Your go-to-market acts as the connective tissue between your organization and your market, and the go-to-market connective tissue is dependent on a type of relationship, the kind of thing, the muscle that you're building with your market. Is it going to be one where they win and you don't? Is it going to be one where you win and they're harmed? Is it going to be the one where nothing really makes sense? Is it going to be the one where you take them out of competition? Or is it going to be the one where it's win-win? The goal is to make a win-win go-to-market strategy and strengthen the relationship between your organization and your market. And then we want to get into it as a system. Your go-to-market strategy is coming from your goals and objectives. Once you build that strategy, everybody in the organization plays a role in developing a plan for how to make that go-to-market strategy a reality. Then we develop tactics. It's how we start to translate that go-to-market strategy into a sequence of actions inside our organization and also outside in the market. And then once we get there, we execute. We execute relentlessly. From here, we look at how we start to build that go-to-market system. What is that go-to-market strategy? What are the components? We must identify where we're actually going to play. We need to understand, identify, create clarity, communicate across the organization about how we win. We need to make everybody in the organization understand what is the decision-making journey for our prospects. We need to make everybody in the organization understand what's the processes that we're building to make this a possibility. We need to make everybody in the organization understand our sequence of actions and activities that allow us to facilitate the right kind of process for our decisions that our prospects are making. We need to get the right people on the bus. We need the right partners that are going to make this a reality. If you have 100 partners, and you do this work, you'll find out there's only 5 that you're going to need to get this strategy off the ground. There may be only 10, only 3, maybe 1. But this is how you start to work out, how do we deploy a finite sense, a finite pot of resources into the market to make sure that we can meet our goals and objectives. And of course, to make this all happen, there are enablers that sit around your go-to-market strategy to measure it, to track it, to reinforce it, to iterate on it. And then from here, we simply want to understand, is this grounded in reality? Can it actually happen? And then we want to say, if it is grounded in reality and it can actually happen, what's our capability to make that actually a success? Where are we? What's the gaps? What else is required in order for us to be successful? I'm Hannah Ajikawo. I'm the CEO and founder of Revenue Funnel, as I said, and we do this every day. We obsess over it. So if you need help, once you've identified your capability, then hit us up. There is a link in the description of this video that will take you to a 60-second assessment that will help you just get a T-drop, bird's eye view into where your capability is today and some resources to help you figure out, okay, so what do we do from here? All right, now you know what a go-to-market strategy is. Go and build one.